Hi, so I wanted to create a step-by-step with you guys so you guys know what I mean when I say a step-by-step. So I'm here on the lathe um, and we're gonna just try to start a little bit here so we can understand what we're doing, right? So I'm gonna start with the stock, right? And then it's not going to be exactly what you guys have to do, but you guys are going to understand, right? So as soon as you get the stock, actually you're going to get the stick, right, of the stock. So so we're going to get stock. Oh, I'm sorry, it's kind of blurry there. Let's see if I can zoom in. I don't know where I am here. I don't know if you can see. Can you zoom in more? All right, yeah, it's good. I think it's just too many things on the screen there. All right, so we're gonna get the stock. With the stock, we're gonna. What's the first thing to do? We look on the picture we look on the schematic, and then we have to decide how much we're gonna cut off of it, right? So we're gonna actually mark where to cut, right? After you mark where to cut, you have to know, let's say, uh-oh, I have to draw it back here. So that's your stock. You're gonna mark where to cut. Let's say this is the part that you want to use. So you have to also mark on which line of the line you're gonna have to cut, right? And then you know, as we talked in the class pretty much, that you're gonna have to place the blade on one side. You don't want to leave too much material, but you know that you're gonna be able to play with whatever is the length plus or minus the tolerance, right? So you're gonna know that from the you're gonna know that from the schematic, and then you know how picky you will be with the, if you need to be more precise or less precise, Okay, so I mark where to cut. So we take to the horizontal bend saw. You already have the videos of the horizontal bend saw, so that actually helps. So you guys can watch the video, and then you guys can follow the steps of how they're gonna do, adjust this, adjust that, lower, get it tight, position, get it tight again, so like those things. So I'm gonna consider, so this one is a cut process, so I'm gonna consider that this is already covered, right? Because you can pretty much follow the step-by-step on the steps that I follow on the video, right? All right, so after we actually have the stock, then now we're gonna finish cutting here. So now I'm gonna start with this guy, right? So the first thing to do would be, let's say we're gonna face, right? So we're gonna face this end. So I have the video for facing too right there. So the first thing that I notice is actually how much you're gonna be leaving sticking out. So when you put it in there, I don't know if it was mentioned in class, but when you leave a lot of material sticking out like this, then there's a chance of deflection. So a rule of thumb is you're never gonna leave more than 2 diameters sticking out without actually having your stock being held on this side, right? So for facing, so we need to be far enough that we're safe, that we're not gonna hit the chuck, right? So let's say half an inch there is it's far enough. I'm not gonna heat the chuck. So right now I'm gonna install my tool, right, for facing. So for face, we're gonna do stock placement. Is that important? Yeah, because you can put it too far in, you can put too far out, you know, so it's good to actually point that out, right? So we're gonna put all the steps that is gonna help us in the process, right? So we're gonna choose tool, and if you wanna specify which tool so you remember, then it's good. Choose tool, install. We can barely see anything there. Install on the quick connect, right? So for facing, we had a stock placement, we choose tool, we put on this quick connect. Now I don't know how it was covered with you guys, so you can watch my video again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna place cutter. So this is how we're gonna place the cutter. So like that's the face there. I'm gonna try to place the cutter kind of as far on the outside as possible, right? Because I don't wanna, when I face, I wanna just leave a ring out on the outside. All right, so we can start the machine. So to prevent, so right now, I'll see we're out of gear. So end up being low. Okay, now we're in gear. We're not gonna use the auto feed, so that's good. We're gonna leave it in zero. We're gonna leave the gear in zero because we're not gonna use the power feed. So now we're not heating anything. So we're gonna start the machine. Right? Now, plates cutter. So what I have to do now, adjust speed. At what speed we're gonna be cutting? It's gonna be 400 RPMs. If you don't know, that's fine. You leave it open, and then you ask the professor when you come to class. So this first lab is more like a, you know, so you can get a feel of it, a feel for it, right? So we're gonna go all the way to 400 RPMs there, right? I'm gonna go in forward. I believe that the professor covered with you. So when facing, the first thing that you want to do is when you cut, you want to make sure you made a ring on the whole outside. So then that means you took enough material, because in case your stock was cut like this, at first you're only going to be cutting on one side, right? So if you look here, you guys can see, but I can't. There's a ring on the whole outside. So now I can actually just face the whole thing. All right. After I face one side, can I say that I face? Can I tell the length already? No, because I have to face the other side. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out, move to the other side, and then I can face, right? And then after I face both sides, so we're gonna see if on facing here, we can say we place the cutter in specific position. right? We place the cutter in a specific position because I said like on the outside here, and then we move cutter in Y to make full ring, right? That's another step. Okay, if ring full can finish facing pass, if not, move in more until full ring achieved. And then make pass. Alright, so those are the steps. So now if we follow, or if we give it to somebody else, if they have enough instruction, they would be able to follow it, right? Okay, now we say face opposite side using steps what? So if I do 1, so if I number my steps, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can say face opposite side using the steps 5 to 9, right? So what we're always gonna do is we're gonna work, and then we're gonna measure, and then based on the measurement we're gonna get a decision made, right? So like let's say so after we face the other side, then we can remove work and measure length, right? Once we remove the work and we measure length, then we can let's see, what can we do with the work and measure length? Now I can do length equal to, let's say we need to do 3 inches and we had 3.4 inches. So that's the goal. So now we're gonna have to establish how much material I'm gonna take and how I'm gonna take it, right? So let's say I'm gonna place my stock back in. All right, so this now it's when it starts becoming fun, right? So now my stock that I gave you the numbers was 3.4 inches, right? We're gonna actually install it on the vise, so there's just a little bit sticking out there. So now what's my plan for me to cut to, so my objective is 3.0 plus or minus 0.1, right? Which gives me 3.1 until 2.9, right? All right, 3.1, 2.9. I'm at 3.4. So what I would have to do is I'm gonna have to approach with my cutter. I'm gonna move in, I'm gonna zero my X, right? You're gonna touch off here. Actually, zero Y, because Y is this axis and X is this one. Okay, so we're gonna zero this is a touch off and 0Y, right? So I'm gonna touch off 0Y. I move my cut it around until I get to, I don't know how much we want to take in one pass, right? How much we want to take in one pass. I have to remove 3.4 to 3.1, so I have to remove, let's say, this. That's what I want to remove, right? Let's say that my goal here is actually to be at, let's say that my goal here is actually to be at 3.05, right? So this is where I am. That's where I want to go. So that gives me this, right? So that's how much I'm gonna remove. But like, can I take like a 350 thousandths in one pass? I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. So let's say I'm gonna start with, like, let's say, what's safe to remove? I don't know. Let's try to remove 100 thousandths, right? So let's say I'm gonna remove 100 thousandths. So my first step would be, so I touch off, right? I'm gonna move it to the side here, and I want to move Y 100 thousandths in, right? And then you take a pass, right? After you're done, so move, take pass. So after you're done cutting, in this specific example, it's going to be more complicated because, like, it's not so easy to be measuring the length. Like, I cut and I measure and I cut and I measure is actually more complicated. So, like, what you want to do is you cut once, and then now you know how much you removed, so you try to move it again, right? So do I have to touch off to 0? No, I can just go straight in 0, Y again, and then now I can move another 100 thousandths in, right? And then you take a pass again, and then you move 100 thousandths in again, and then you take the last. So like right now, what I'm doing is I'm taking, so to get to the 0.35, so the 350 thousandths, I split that into 100 thousandths, another 100, another 100, and then a 50. So that's how I split my, so I'm gonna take in 4 passes, right? Do I have to take 4 passes? Maybe not. It's actually the feeling and the people talking on the discussion board there. Let's say, what else? Would you actually, like 350,000 is a lot, you know, so like usually you wouldn't have to take that much as of length, which is the most complicated for you to actually do, because you can remove the stock. Like if you're removing the stock all the time to measure, you have to 0 all the time, which is not nice. But anyway, I don't think in this example you're ever gonna end up like having to remove 250 thousandths. So, but like maybe on a turn, then on a turn you'd have to do it, or, but like the good thing about the turns actually, you don't have to remove the stock from the chuck, so you can actually measure, right? But like I just wanted to point out like how you move along to say the steps that you do between 0, between move, like a move means like I move my cutter, right? Because like what I did here is actually I came on the front, I touch off, I go around, I come to the side, and then now I can take a cut here. I 0 after I'm done, I go around, I come and I take more. I 0 after I turn around, take some more, right? Until we are actually done. In case we are just working in case we're just turning the piece, right? As soon as we take a pass to cut here, As soon as you take a pass to cut here, what you can do is like you always zero at the bottom. So let's say I have a cutter, my cutter all the way through, and I cut everything. So when I get to the end here, I zero my X, so I know where the bottom is, and then I have to pull out my tool so I can clean up the edge there, and I can make a 90-degree angle edge. And then now I can just stop my machine, and then I can use my caliper to measure this. So pretty much after I cut, you always measure, and then you make a decision what's gonna be the next step. Is the next step another pass? Are you done because you're within the tolerance range? So that's what you want to do, you know. But remember, you have several decisions between, do I take another cut? I don't take another cut. If I'm gonna take another cut, how much material am I gonna remove? Did I zero before so I know that? Because like imagine I'm gonna move with my DRO here. Let's say I'm gonna move 100,000s, right? I'm gonna move 100,000s in. If I never zero on on the start, if I never zero on this side, it's the same as I have a ruler, but I never started the ruler anywhere, you know. So for us to count a distance, we always have to touch off or start somewhere, right? So sometimes we touch off so we know where the zero is, where we're gonna put the beginning of the ruler, or as soon as I take a pass, if I zero that axis, then I know that I can move in and I can take another pass, right? So this is just like an overall idea, you know. I'm sorry, it's kind of messy. You guys can follow with the video of how you're gonna write this. I would like it to have more details, you know, like how much material I'm gonna zero in X, zero in Y. That gives you like a better understanding of what you're doing, you know. And then again, between the first exercise and so like the first exercise is actually a lot like is the first time that you're working on the equipment, you know. So that's gonna be your first like 30 minutes working by yourself. So our hope is you can get your questions asked, you get like a little bit more comfortable. So then on the second one, like we can help you guys fill in and adding more stuff to your step by step. And then for the second one, then you're gonna add more, because now you're gonna know more. So your step by step is gonna be better, right? And then for the third exercise that you have is whenever you come in, before you start the lab, I give you the drawing. You come up with the steps like in your head how we're gonna do. You can bring a generic step by step, right? You bring a generic step by step, and then you can just sit down and actually like compile something quick, right? So I want you guys to be able to actually look at things and say, you know, oh, this is how I'm gonna go about to make these cuts, right? Because again, we can only do like 3-4 operations here. So, but like now what matters is actually the order, like how much material you're taking each step, you know. So that's what matters. So like that's how we're gonna make it, how we want you to think, right? And then you're gonna be better creating your own process later on, right? So I know that it's not focused well, but I hope like it was of some help, like of how to generate this document. And as I said, like at the first one, we're not going to be so picky, where it's more like we can get like a jump start on it. And then the second one is when we're going to be more picky. And then the third one, you're going to write it yourself. And like that's when we're going to be when we're really going to be hard and say, did this guy learn anything, you know? All right. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope this was instructional for you. Thank you.